let's start our conversation this evening on Newsnight. We'll be sticking to issues coming from the office of the Speaker of Parliament, where Parliament session has been deferred indefinitely. And the Speaker of Parliament, the Honorable Alban Bagbin, cites uncontrollable circumstances. This evening, we'll be looking at governance, oversight, and the political stakes of delay. A notice from the Speaker of Parliament's office, the Right Honourable Speaker Alban Bagbin, announces that the third meeting of Parliament's first session, 9th Parliament, is deferred until further notice. The notice was issued today, 6 October 2025, citing reasons beyond the Speaker's control. No alternative date has been set yet, no clear reason publicly given, opening space for speculations. The postponement affects the legislative calendar, oversight of government, and potentially delay key bills and motions. Could this delay set a precedent for executive influence over parliamentary business? We're asking this on Newsnight this evening. How might this affect key pending legislation or oversight of the executive's action? Now, joining us on the line is a private legal practitioner, lawyer Richard Niyama. Counsel, good evening and welcome to Newsnight.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker.
Well, good to have you. On the other line, also via Zoom, is Dr. Bernard Tutubwaine. He is a governance expert, a lecturer with the University of Education, Winneba. Doc, good evening. Welcome to Newsnight. Dr. Tutubwaine, good evening and welcome to Newsnight.
Good evening, Nana, and thanks for having me.
Well, good to have you. We're looking forward to have on the line also the Honorable Matthew Nyindam, a member of Parliament for the people of the Pandai constituency in the northern region. Now, let's start the conversation with you, lawyer Richard Niyama. Is this usual?
For usual, we may have to look at what has been happening consistently over the years. And I think it has always been a decision of the leadership, of course, which is headed by the Speaker of Parliament, to decide when Parliament to resume for any session. And so, to that extent, I would say it is usual. What sounds a little bit off is the fact that in this particular instance, the Speaker has indicated that Parliament is not going to sit until further notice.
Okay. Having said that, let's look at that statement that came from the office of the Speaker of Parliament, and then I'm sure it would help in this conversation. This is what the Speaker of Parliament has put out, and it says, notice of commencement of the third meeting of the first session of the 9th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. And it says, pursuant to the notice to summon Parliament dated 29 September 2025, I, Alban Bagbin, Speaker of Parliament, hereby give notice that the commencement of the third meeting of the first session of the 9th Parliament of the 4th Republic is deferred until further notice due to circumstances beyond my control. Dated in the office of the Speaker of Parliament, Accra, the 6th day of October 2025, and it was signed by the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament. And that's what you have here. It's just behind me. This is what the Speaker of Parliament has put out. You can clearly see from the screen in your homes. And so, Council, this is the statement, obviously, we are speaking about.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we need to ask ourselves, what is a session of Parliament?
Mm-hmm.
Because the Speaker is talking about the session of Parliament which was supposed to have resumed and for which has been postponed indefinitely. Now, when you look at Article 112 of the 1992 Constitution,
Article
clause 1
112.
says,
Article
yes, Article
112 talks
112.
about sessions of parliament. And so we are looking at which clause?
Exactly. We are looking at clause 1,
Clause 1,
which says that
a session of parliament shall be held okay,
at set place within Ghana and shall commence at set time as a speaker may by constitutional instrument appoint. Okay. Then you go to clause 2, which says that a session of parliament shall be held at least once a year, so that the period between the last sitting of parliament in one session and the first sitting of parliament in the next session does not amount to 12 months. So, Mr. Speaker, all what I'm trying to say is that to the extent that the last sitting of parliament happened just about 3 months ago, even if this indefinite suspension happens next year, parliament has not breached any law, because our constitution actually says that parliament must have a session at least once a year, and that the last session and the next session, the period between them should not last for more than 12 months. As we speak now, the period between the time they went on recess and now has not reached 12 months, and so they are within the law. Of course, the other question will be on governance and productivity for us to answer whether what they are doing is good governance and whether it is productive for the people of Ghana. But for legal and for legality, I can tell you that per the Constitution, no law has been breached.
Okay. Now, Council, I want you to hang on. You would specifically help us understand this issue from the law's point or the legal aspect. Now, Dr. Bernard Subaini, also already on the line. Doc, how do you receive this, especially when the Speaker of Parliament talks about the fact that there are issues beyond his control?
Nana, so once again, let me say good evening to you, good evening to the lawyer, and good evening to viewers. I think that lawyer has spelled the constitutional pathway that explains when and how Parliament should be in session. And once the Constitution speaks, obviously, I feel that it becomes a bit difficult for anybody to challenge it. So what it means is that it is within the constitutional rights of the Speaker of Parliament, to take a decision, especially if he is confronted with a tough decision and a decision that probably he can trigger Article 112, to explain himself. And I think that being, that experienced parliamentarian and a lawyer, and knowing, what goes into suspending parliamentary sitting or sessions, which of course the 1992 Constitution provides, that kind of leeway. I think that I will agree with lawyer on the explanation that he has given. But to a large extent, I also want to believe that if Ghana is not actually faced with any form of emergency, then of course it gives him that mandate, to deal with it. But again, if there is a pressing issue like that of Galamsey, which of course we have been made to understand that, when Parliament reconvenes, on the 14th of this month, a bill, or a proposal is going to be laid before Parliament for discussion, and probably a decision will be taken, and the appropriate advice will be given to the President as to whether, government is going to back the call of Ghanaians declare a state of emergency. And so, for me, looking at the fact that even though the Constitution provides them that kind of cover, I think that Ghana actually, is faced with a very difficult situation in Galamsey, of which an immediate decision, needs to be taken. And so I feel that yes, the Speaker of Parliament should probably look at that and probably analyze it critically as to whether the indefinite suspension, will be helpful to Ghanaians or it will not be helpful to Ghanaians.
As we speak, the speaker did not emphatically state the reasons why he is deferring this session indefinitely. Should we be in the know? If indeed
I think that
the issues involved are highly uncontrollable.
I think that there is some kind of provision, I think in clause 3. If my legal or constitutional, how do I put it, limitations would help, maybe lawyer would help explain that. Clause 3, 112 clause 3.
And it says, notwithstanding,
of members of parliament, 15% of members of parliament can request a meeting of parliament, which the speaker is then obliged to summon within 7 days of receiving the request. I don't know how lawyer is going to interpret that. I mean, for the purposes of Galamsey.
Councillor, I'm sure you heard what Dr. Bernard Tutubuaine was putting out. If you can help us in that direction.
Yes, certainly. Certainly, if 15% of members of parliament should sign a petition or a requisition to demand that parliament should be reconvened, the speaker will be obliged to do that. That is why I told you that legally there may be nothing wrong with it, but there is a question of whether it is prudent, whether we are being, whether we are managing our resources rightfully or not, because we have members of parliament that will pay whether they go to parliament or not, whether they are in session or not. And if we need them to do some work for us, and they are saying that within the whole year, they are going to sit for just 4 months and not sit again, then that must be very worrying. So I agree with Dr. Tutubuaine. If 15% of members of parliament should request that the Speaker of Parliament should summon parliament, I think he will do it because that is what the law says. And as it stands now, we do not even know the reason why the speaker is saying parliament cannot sit for that undisclosed number of days with the statement that he has brought out.
Now, then the question would want to ask has to do with under what condition, if any, might such deferral be challenged at the court?
Well, I don't believe that parliamentary matters should be sent to court every now and then, because despite the fact that we run a constitutional democracy, parliament is a master of its own rules, and parliament is always filled with reasonable persons who are able to reasonably come on consensus to help the house to move ahead. And so I don't think this must go to court at all. What I think is that we should demand from parliament the reasons why they are saying they cannot sit indefinitely, because we pay them with our taxes, we pay them with our resources. They are supposed to go to work and do a certain duty for us. And now they are telling us that for reasons beyond their control, they are unable to sit. And so I believe that the citizens need some further explanation from just the letter that the speaker has got out.
Yeah, but
and I
Council,
think we should demand and know why.
Council, reading from the article 112, where you pointed out clearly that you do not see any breach of the Constitution. Yes, indeed, then they have worked. At least they have worked, and from the time that they went in session up to date, It hasn't been 12 months yet. So then how then do you see that the Ghanaians would want to demand of them the reason why we are paying them, and obviously they are not working, and they haven't also told us when they are going to come back to work?
Yes, Ghanaians ought to know why they are not working and why they are not coming to work, because they perform a very important function in Ghana. Parliament is our representatives. They represent us because you and I, all the 30 million Ghanaians, we can't go and meet together to make decisions for Ghana. That is why we have delegated them to go and make decisions for Ghana. The constitution only provides certain frameworks. So, for example, at the time that we drafted our constitution, we said that we shall have a minimum of 114 members of parliament. But today, what do we have? We have about 275 members of parliament.
We have 276
so,
rather.
Parliament cannot come and tell us that because we said they can meet once a year in the constitution, they are going to decide to meet for only 4 months, when we know that there's a lot of work for them to do, yet they are on break telling us that they are not able to meet for reasons beyond their control. I think that they must give us better explanation as to why they cannot meet.
All right. Now, the council, you want to hang on for me. Let me come back to you, Dr. Bernard Zubane. Even though you have indicated that from the explanations given by lawyer Richard Niyama, then it becomes difficult for anybody to question the speaker why such decision has been taken. In governance setting, is it appropriate for us, looking at the challenges we face and the kind of expectations we have from our parliament or our parliamentarians, and the fact that they ought to also play an oversight role on the executive?
And let me correct this. I think that I said that once a lawyer was, explaining from a constitutional point of view, it becomes a bit difficult for us to challenge that. But I think that Article 112 Clause 3 has opened up. That's opened up. And, after reading that, I'm only trying to understand, why the Clause 3, all right? And basically, what I'm seeing, or if my legal brain probably is giving me the right answers, what it means is that it is the Clause 3 actually is, putting some level of checks on the powers of the Speaker of Parliament, so that he cannot sit, and say that I am not going to, allow a session to continue or to start, but what it means is that he can't take that unilateral decision. All right. So what it means is that when 15% of parliamentarians come together to request that no, it should be done, I think it can be done. And I think that it has happened before. My check reveals that in one instance, Honorable Afenyo-Markins, the minority leader in Parliament, actually triggered that particular clause.
He was then the majority leader.
Parliament. Okay, he was then the majority leader, so he triggered it. You get, So what it means is that if the 15% of parliamentarians believe that yes, we need to stop this, and that there is no justification for the speaker to exercise that kind of authority he's exercising, then of course we are in for a game. Now, I think that Lawyer Niyama was right when he said that if there is no issue to be discussed, then of course, yes. If there is no need for Parliament to go and then have a session, that is okay. But they should equally remember that they are being paid with the taxpayers' money. All right. And when the country is faced with a decision on Galamsey and the government is waiting, then I think that there is no business for you to probably say that, yes, we are not going to go because of unexplained reasons. I think that for the purposes of fighting Galamsey and the fact that the president has made it clear that the minister had made it clear that they are waiting for Parliament, to get back to session. So they lay, that kind of request before them. I think that based on that, Honorable
Honorable Speaker
of Parliament, Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament should, be able to take such a decision.
Are you inferring?
Yeah, you should be able to take that decision.
Are you inferring that the revocation of Article that the revocation of Article 246 or so that has been spoken so much about by then the NDC in opposition, now in government, with the fact that the last meeting
2462
2462 could be a factor why the speaker has really deferred parliament session indefinitely. Hello, Doc.
For now, the speaker has not given a reason, and it will be very difficult for. Yes, hello.
Yes, I'm listening, sir.
Hello, Nana, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm saying is that now he didn't give reasons. He said that the only reason he gave is that the decision is due to measures or certain things beyond his control. All right. Yes, but he didn't actually go telling us why. The why is missing. So for me, I cannot speculate. I can't speculate that probably it is part of the processes to delay actions on Galamsey, And I feel that if that is so, it will be quite unfortunate though. If that is the reason, then it will be very much unfortunate. Because I don't see why probably the Speaker of Parliament would want to involve himself in this and probably go along that tangent. And so I don't want to speculate in the first place.
Okay.
But I want to believe that the Speaker has a genuine, he has a genuine reason for probably saying what he wants to say. But again, I will agree with Lawyer Niyama that if possible, then Speaker should come out clear, to tell us that because of this specific reason, I am unable, as part of the resetting agenda, of the NDC government, then he should hold himself accountable to the good people of Ghana and not hide anything from us, and not to probably hide behind, that oath of secrecy, and then probably say that no, I am not answerable to Ghanaians. And that I am answerable to myself and my decisions alone. I think that will not help. At this age and time, medical doctors have even gone beyond the oath of secrecy, and they probably will tell a patient what is actually wrong with you. So they have introduced, psychology as part of their training. All right, so what it means is that the speaker cannot hold himself back, conceal vital information from the people that he holds in trust for us. And so I think that he should come clear for me if there is anything. At least, what can we do to him? We can't do him, somebody will say Foco. We can't do him Foco. all right? But at least he should also give us that respect and then tell us that, good people of Ghana, we are not able to hold, sessions, from this time around because of reason A, B, C, D. But if you just come with that excuse that reasons beyond your control, probably if you are not careful, people will read meanings into it, and there will assign reasons to what your actions are. And if you are not careful, you will suffer from the political whip. You understand? You will suffer from the political beatings and name callings and all that. And I think that Speaker of Parliament doesn't deserve, that kind of political bashing. So to do himself good and to also honor the good people of Ghana, dear Speaker, please say something, because we are waiting on you. We are waiting on the 270, is it 279, right? Parliamentarians, right? Is the number correct?
Yeah, 276.
Go back to Parliament and take a decision. 276, okay. So 276 parliamentarians to go back to Parliament and take a decision, because Ghanaians are waiting. We want to see, the decision that Parliament will take, either whether it will favor Ghana or it will not favor Ghana. So for me, as long as the minister, has indicated that he's waiting on Parliament, to approve his request for him to act on certain decisions. Of course, Ghana is equally waiting. And this is not the time probably for the Speaker of Parliament to come back to say that I am deferring, sessions until further notice. Further notice. I don't think that would be appropriate for us.
All right. Dr. Tuwaine, thank you. But if you go off, we'll get you another link to rejoin. That I want to give you that assurance so you don't go off and think we took you off. Thank you. Now, Council, should we be worried that Ghana is not at war? Our members of Parliament are healthy. Like I said, we're going to speak with the Honorable Nyindam. Unfortunately, we are unable to connect with him. We hope we are able to connect with him before News Night wraps up today's edition. But strangely, this is the reason our Speaker is just, he hasn't even given us any reason. This is what he is telling us. And he hasn't really breached any constitutional provision. What should we do?
I think we should demand for more from the Speaker of Parliament, because we have worked so hard collectively to bring our democracy to where it is. Today, we even have the right to information law, which has been passed by Parliament. I think that the Speaker of Parliament and members of Parliament owe Ghanaians a responsibility to explain to us the reason why they are not able to meet. Even though the law allows them to meet at least once a year, we know that there's a lot to be done. Like Dr. Tuwaine has explained, Galamsey is worrying us. The economy is not in the best of shape. There are so many urgent things. Doctors are on strike, nurses are on strike. And so if Parliament is not certain, how do we push certain policies through to help the government to be able to resolve all these problems? And so it's not just enough for Mr. Speaker to tell us that the reasons are beyond his control. I think he must explain to us so that if the case is that they can't find a place to meet, we can make a place available for them. If they need more money, maybe we can make it available to them. For them to just tell us that it's beyond their control, I don't think it is democratic enough. We need to know why they are unable to meet.
Has there been anything in the atmosphere, in the news, that suggests there's something that possibly could trigger this decision by the Speaker?
Well, I find it very difficult to pinpoint what could have been the thoughts of the Speaker at the time he was writing this letter. But I want to believe that maybe it could be logistical problems, or maybe they've not been able to prepare their business itinerary for the House, or it could be any other thing. All I'm saying is that whatever the problem it is, they owe us a duty to tell us, because even though the law allows them to meet once a year, we all know that there's a lot of work to be done. And so they just can't hide behind the law and say they are not meeting. And Ghanaians will be expected to be quiet. By all means, Ghanaians will be talking. And so they should tell us something so that we will be satisfied.
Let me come back to you. What other checks or records exist when parliamentary functions are disrupted? Are there other checks, Council?
Well, as Clause 3 of Article 112 says, when some members of parliament, in fact 15% of them, believe that there's a need for parliament to reconvene, they can write a requisition or a petition and sign and submit it to the speaker. And at that instant, the speaker will have to reconvene parliament for them to do business. Beyond that, I'm not aware of anything that ordinary Ghanaians can do to compel parliament to meet, apart from putting public pressure on them. We as the citizens, once we vote for them and we give them the power to represent us, the only thing we have left is our mouth to be able to talk, shout, demand, criticize, and say things that will compel them to do the right thing. And so if they are not meeting, and we do not know why they are meeting, the only thing we can do as citizens is to talk and ask them questions and hope that they will listen to us and bring answers or meet to transact the business of the government.
I see. So that was Council. Council, hang on. I now have Dr. Bernard Tutu Buahene back on it. So in this case, should we be calling on parliamentarians at least to gather and make sure at least they're able to mobilize about 15% or more of them to insist on the speaker to call them to parliament or come out to tell us exactly what it is in governance setting, and when it comes to accountability and all of that, what should we do? Dr. Zubaini?
Yes, Nana, so it depends.
Hello, Doc. Well, I can't hear Doctor's voice here. I'm unable to.
Hello, Nana,
yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that it depends on the understanding of the magnitude of the problem that the members of parliament probably would assign, as to whether they are going or not going, as to whether they need to go and solve a problem or otherwise. And probably it may equally be as politics as usual, that let us probably delay the process of taking decisions on whatever we have to take a decision on. And so, but if I trust that, if I believe that they feel that they need to go back for the purposes of the Galamsey issue, as I keep saying, or probably to attend to the call of the minister, then what it means is that the good number of people who actually support that call, may probably put themselves together and then maybe write that petition to, the Speaker of Parliament to respond.
Dr. Tuwaine, you want to pardon me, but yes, you've continuously talked about the issue of Galamsey and the fact that the minister at the last meeting at the Jubilee House mentioned they were waiting for Parliament to reconvene, and some documents will be tabled before them to look into it. Then I was asking whether, by inference, you think the Speaker is running away from a certain task. You then said you do not want to speculate, but you're also giving me a certain mindset that, in my own mind, I'm beginning to speculate myself. How sure are you the Speaker isn't running away from something that he is not ready to handle now?
No, the man has not said anything. You can't put words into his mouth.
Yeah, but
what I'm saying is that at the moment, Ghana is faced with the issues of Galamsey, and we are looking for answers. And some of the questions that we have asked and the answers that we are looking for it is probably from the words of the minister, it is Parliament that holds that key to that door. All right. So obviously, if they are in recess and you have to come back and take a decision, and the leader is saying that because of a decision or because of unforeseen hindrances beyond my control, so we can't come. That's okay. But I'm saying that, per Article 112, Clause 3, some people can come together and say that, look, we represent 15% of Parliament. So please, we want you to convey that meeting. And another question remains as to how, Parliament is going to get that 15%, to trigger Article 112, Clause 3. All right. That will depend on as to whether they are ready and they see Galamsey as a problem. And so they are ready to probably, ensure that Parliament comes back, to honor that obligation that has been laid on them. All right. So if they see some urgency, if they see some importance to Galamsey, then of course they will go and knock and it shall be opened unto them. But if they feel that there's no problem in the first place to be solved, then of course, who is going to trigger Article 112 Clause 3?
Were you intrigued? Were you intrigued reading from the Speaker's statement, especially where he talked about circumstances beyond his control?
I don't really get that understanding of circumstances beyond his control. That's why earlier or before I went off, I was saying that, look, he owes it a duty, at least as part of the resetting agenda, to come back and explain to us what he actually means by circumstances beyond his control. He can decide to answer, he can decide not to answer, because he's Speaker of Parliament. He is not probably answerable to me or to any other Ghanaian apart from probably himself and members of Parliament. And even members of Parliament, he can decide that I'm not answerable to you, all right, because of the powers that he has. But I think that accountability is key.
It's key,
especially where he sits.
All right, thank you, Doc. Thank you. Let me
understand that the asserting of
let me get a certain understanding from Council. Now, many have talked about constitutional amendment. This article 112, and the fact that our members of Parliament can decide for a whole year they will sit in Parliament for just 1 month, and they can't be at fault, especially breaching any aspect of the Constitution. Should we begin to look at it? Most especially when at a point, a certain leader some way, somehow, can decide that he is going per this, and so can decide that for a whole year we are sitting for just five weeks, and nothing can happen.
I don't believe that such constitutional provisions should be amended. My reason is simple. If we are not careful, we shall over legislate, and that will also be counterproductive. Can you imagine a situation Parliament doesn't have any business to do, yet we have forced them to go and sit down there? So, in my understanding, in democracy, people are always supposed to demand accountability from their leaders. And so we as a people, even if we should amend this law, and we still do not demand accountability from our leaders, they can decide to sit with and not go to Parliament. So in my view, the law is fine, it is okay, they can meet once a year. But if there's work to do and they decide not to meet, we as citizens must demand for them to meet. And once we begin to be responsible and demand accountability from our leaders, our democracy will begin to function very, very well.
Dr. Tutubu, if I ask the same question, what will be your response?
Nana, please come back again.
If I ask the same question, that per what the council on the line explained to us, and the fact that our members of parliament, if indeed would want to allow what the speaker has put out there go, they wouldn't be charged of anything. They have not breached the constitution. But the speaker may not have breached any aspect of the constitution based on the fact that at least they have had a session and they can wait till at least the next 9 months or 10 months and be home. And we are unable to charge them because the constitution talks about the fact that, I mean, if they decide not to come to parliament from now till next year, October 1st, I mean, they are still within the law. Should we consider amending this aspect of the constitution?
Maybe some, not really an amendment, but some clarity should be put to it. All right. Some additions to make it clear, so that it wouldn't sound as if that parliamentarians would go 1 year leave, and probably they would want to come back as and when a decision needs to be taken, and as and when even that decision favor a particular camp in parliament or not. And so for me, yes, I mean, I don't think that the work of the constitutional review has come to an end. These are some of the things that we want to set our minds to, and probably to prompt us that all is not well with the 1992 Constitution. And so certain sessions like this, that probably would make parliamentarians go on holiday for a whole year. It's not something that we can, wrap our head around, and that, we need to probably look at it and look at it well. Because you see, it is equally within the laws of Ghana that every public servant, should work 8 hours a day. 8 hours in a day. And I think we have 21 days in a whole year to take your leave. And so if a whole parliament that legislates for the country is going to sit for 1 full year and then just come to work for, the 5 months or 5 weeks, that is laughable. I don't know why the framers of the Constitution, did that. But again, as you grow, and you begin to run, it means that your muscles are being toughened.
Yeah.
And so this is where we find ourselves, as the person. And we need to strengthen our muscles in such a way that, we will do a very good work, leave a very good legacy for posterity. One day they come and then enjoy, the sweats of their forefathers.
Thank you.
And it is incumbent on all of us, to see this as a responsibility, and not to sit down and be enjoying to a point where we leave a whole lot of burden on posterity. I mean, no question us.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bernard Tubai, for your time on Newsnight this evening. Council, any wrap-up comments? And I will say thank you from there.
I have nothing useful to add.
Except that it's as if the Constitution has given our members of Parliament more than 10 months leave in a year. That's what we see. I'm sure you would agree with Dr. Bernard Tubai.
I'll soon become an engineer.
Yeah. Dog, I'm listening.
Dada, let me ask you. Would Tobingo give you 1 year leave to go and sit home without doing anything and then pay you?
I'm too sure it can never be possible. And from what I know, even if you have 4 weeks leave, naturally, most of the time, unless you have reasons, you are not going to be given the entire 4 weeks. This is not the very first company I'm working with.
So you see,
even in other companies, it is done.
See what
Article 112 is going to Ghana. So then we all have to be in Parliament, I'm sure.
Very unproductive.
I work for 1 month, and the next 11 months I'm home and I'm being paid and at the end of the day I'll be given a very hefty ex gratia to go and take care of myself and my family.
You'll be doing constituency work in 11 months.
Well, you can imagine that. All right.
Nana,
yes, Doc.
Technically, for the entire 4 years, you sit for 4 times.
4 times.
4 months in 4 years.
Each session will do 1 month.
4 times.
And we'll rest for 11 months. And we'll be paid.
Yes.
This constitution, I'm sure I can tell you this constitution is sick. It is the foundation of our sickness as a country. Do you side with me? All right, Council, thank you. Council, thank you. And Dr. Benatuba, I'm most grateful for that interesting conversation on Newsnight this evening. This was